Welcome back to the Forever World. In today's episode, we'll be building a tree farm and a moss farm for bone meal, and we'll be moving on from the Tuscan village just for now. Obviously, there's still a ton of things that need to be done here. However, in terms of materials, I have none, which is why we'll be building the tree farm and moss farm today. But first, every episode, I spin the wheel to see which item that I'll be eating in today's episode. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel. I have removed a few of the ones that we've already done before, as well as the ones that don't really make sense. So yeah, let's go ahead and spin the wheel to see which item we'll be eating today. And okay, that's kind of an interesting one. Dried kelp. So we have actually found kelp before, and I just want to double check and confirm that dried kelp is edible. So, oh man, it only... it's only half of a hunger bar. Oh man, this is gonna be kind of a bad one, but we'll figure something out. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that I added a armor trim to my armor. I'm just using, I believe it was the Coast armor trim, and we're using copper as the material. That way it just kind of matches with our arm and our brand new cape, which is finally in the game. I was waiting for this for so long, and I think it looks really good. So I'm going to make an auto farm for our kelp. So I'm going to craft a few pistons here. Let's go with 7 for now. We'll also need some observers and some hoppers. So we already have some kelp down here. I'm actually going to break these and move these over into the farm as well. Technically, we're only going to need about 7 kelp for this, but I'd rather just have this ready to be eaten because just from walking back from the mine, I'm already down to 3 hunger haunches, so yeah, I'll probably have to make sure not to run around too much in today's episode. I also don't just like having temporary farms around, so if I'm gonna build a farm for something, I'd rather have everything as centralized as possible. Now, I kind of want to find a place to actually build this kelp farm. I'm thinking because we have a ton of empty buildings now, it might be good to just build it beneath one of the buildings. I think this red building here could be pretty good for it. If we just dug right here. Yeah, there's nothing really underground here, so yeah, I think we'll do that. And we really don't need this to be all that big, so I'll just go ahead and dig out this area. We'll need at least 7 wide. Probably 5 blocks deep. And I think I'll start by placing down 7 of the coarse dirt. I'll get some stone bricks down in front of here because we're actually going to need to surround this in glass, which will contain some water. So glass will go here, but we'll wait to do that. Instead, what I want to do is put some stone bricks on the back as well here. And actually, I'm going to move this down by a block. Then we'll put our observers here on this level facing this direction towards where the kelp will go. I need to grab a few more observers and we'll get those placed down here. And on top of the observers, we just wanted to place our pistons. These will actually break the kelp whenever the observers detect that the kelp has grown. So if I place, for example, a dirt block right here, it shouldn't go off yet because we haven't put any redstone down. So we'll place some stone bricks on the backs of the observers here, and we'll just place down a redstone line, just going across like that. And now when we get an update, it should do it. I guess because this line is now facing this way instead of into there. Yeah, I didn't think about that. If it's individually though, it should update. Okay, so we'll have to figure that out. And I think the easiest way of doing that is to just add another redstone line down below. Will that work? I know that redstone kind of changed recently, so I'm wondering if that'll work or not. Let's test it out. Okay. It won't. Yeah, there we go. We got it working now. I just had the observers and the pistons on the wrong levels, so I just swapped them around. And we just have a row of redstone up here leading into each of the observers. And after placing down a couple of chests here, our little system here is now done. Hopefully it's working. Basically I placed a water up there, and that will sort of bring the items this way, and eventually they will fall onto this hopper here. So once they break, yeah, it'll go over there. So now that we have a steady supply of food, let's get on to the main topic of today's video, the tree farm. Now, first things first, we need to find a location. And as I mentioned before, we're actually going to be not building it inside of the city, mostly because it can get a little bit loud and explosion-y, but also because I just want to make sure that I'm kind of staying fairly spread out in this world. I don't want everything to be in one location, because I feel like that's not very fun. If we just built every single farm like below the ground here, I wouldn't have to go very far, and there would be no point in exploring the world. So I want to spread things out here a little bit, and I've mentioned before that I actually want to build a fishing village over on this island, and along the path here we'll actually be building an actual path, and I think somewhere along the path over to the fishing village I want to build our farm. And it's actually going to be underground, however there will be a visible aspect to it. So I think right here is going to be a pretty good place for it. It doesn't look like it, but yeah, if we flatten this out a little bit, I have a thing that I've been working on in creative that I want to build and bring over into this world. So yeah, I think we'll place it down there, and then underground we'll just need to dig out a pretty large area where we can have our tree farm as well as a ton of storage for the tree farm. So I think the best way to begin is actually going to be to hook up that path and figure out exactly how we'll be getting over to the farm, because we will be needing to run back and forth quite often. So I think it'll be very valuable to have a way to actually get back and forth pretty easily. And now we have a pretty good path of going back and forth from the city over to our new area that I'm gonna build right about here. Now I actually have a schematic, so I think I can pull that up really quick. Here we go. And I built this in creative. It's hard to tell what it is right now, but I actually don't want to ruin the surprise anyway. But yeah, we'll go ahead and build this. We're gonna need quite a few materials for it, but really overall it's not too bad. We're gonna need some moss, some mossy cobblestone, and a few other things as well. But yeah, so this is actually, you know what, I'll leave it till after I build it. So I'm gonna go ahead and build this thing, and then we'll come back in a little bit. And after spending a good amount of time on this project, I would say it's pretty much done. My horse just jumped way up into the air. Yeah, so I've spent a little more time from the last time lapse, just working on some things here and there to kind of help integrate it into the environment. So I have a way to get further up if you want to go into the forest area. And then I've just sort of redecorated this wall in the same style as I did with that wall over there. And of course we can now go inside. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this before. This is actually a fallen tree. It doesn't quite look like it because it's mostly made out of moss and mossy cobblestone. But yeah, it is a fallen over tree, as you can tell from the interior. We'll get to that in a second. It has a few like branches that are coming off of it, but this would have fallen, you know, hundreds of years ago. And now the people who live in this area actually use it as a way to pass through the mountain area here, because going around would be too difficult, and they didn't want to build up any more dirt on the side or build a bridge or anything, so they basically just went straight through, and they've probably been using this path for hundreds of years. And of course, this place is going to be more than just decorative, more than just a set piece along the path, because over here to the side, I'm going to build a doorway and then dig down. I have a schematic for a tree farm that's going to require a pretty large area. This is probably going to be the biggest dig site that we've done so far, like the biggest area that we've excavated, but we'll have to see. And yeah, so I think it's time to get started on that time lapse here as well, and hopefully I don't break any tools along the way. Alright, and that took quite a while to dig out, but we now finally have this giant hole that we can finally fill with our tree farm. So what I want to do now is to gather up some of the materials that we're going to need. By the way, we are using ENXO4's tree farm for this. It's a super simple one. It can be used with pretty much every single tree type. So we're not going to need a whole lot of materials. We can ignore, I believe, the dirt and the grass blocks. Smooth stone will actually be using just bricks for. We can use any building material for that. Scaffolding we should have plenty of. Redstone dust we have plenty of. Everything else here seems pretty simple. Yeah, I don't think there's actually anything here that we can't get. This crimson nylium, we technically don't need it. This is just for the warped or crimson stems. Basically, we replace one of the blocks with whichever one of the versions that we need. I think we can use it for podzol as well. So yeah, that one we won't really need. Everything else should be pretty easy to gather. So let me gather everything. I'm going to actually write this to a file. That way I just have it in front of me. And yeah, we'll get to collecting and then we'll build this tree farm. So we've got some redstone and we can get a single white carpet from our brand new wool farm. We needed a torch. I'm not entirely sure if it's a load-bearing torch or not, but we'll craft some torches anyway. We need a TNT. We need a piece of soul sand, so I'll grab some from the nether. And now we need a total of 12 hoppers. We're also going to need a ton of other types of chests as well. I'm going to make my own modification to this as well, but we'll do that a little bit later on. So let's craft our 12 hoppers. We need a few signs. We need an iron chain and some iron bars. A composter. We need a lever. Actually, we need 5 levers. We'll need 6 observers, a couple of droppers. We'll need a pressure plate. Actually, make that 2. And I'm going to make a bunch of redstone torches because we're going to need a few redstone torches, but we also need, let's see, we need 5 redstone repeaters. We need a few smooth stone slabs. We'll need 3 pistons and some trapdoors. Next, I need some obsidian, and I think I know where I can find some. There is a ruined portal just over here that I keep seeing, but I just keep forgetting to come over here, so hopefully there's a chest waiting here for us as well. And not much in here, but it did save us some time getting obsidian because we actually only needed 2 pieces of obsidian. Anything else here? Doesn't really look like it. Alright, I've gathered all of my materials. Now all that's left to do is to follow this tutorial, and I'm not entirely sure if there's anything that really needs to be done in a specific order. I might just begin to start going sort of layer by layer. I think the only thing I'll have issues with really, if we go all the way up here, keep going. Let's see here. I think, yeah, it's here, right? This is the TNT duplicator, and I think the order on this one matters, like in terms of placement. Oh, actually, up here is the TNT duper. I don't know what's right here then. Oh, right. This is a switch. I'll talk about all of this later. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and build this now, and then we'll come back here in just a little bit. Alright, and I think I'm ready to start the farm. I did have a little bit of an accident, as you can see up there. Yeah, I kind of blew up the TNT somehow. I'm not entirely sure how. I think I messed up the clock down here. So we can go ahead. We're just going to do regular oak saplings for now. So once we flip this power switch, it should begin after a few seconds. It should start sending down TNT, hopefully. Here it goes. And that will begin. I do need to actually build a proper bubble column to get down here because it keeps breaking my bamboo here, my scaffolding. But yeah, so once it's primed and ready and it's been running a little bit, it should be good to go. Now, people were telling me to replace this chain as well with a fence. I'm not getting hit by the TNT right now though, so it should be okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and begin to place down my saplings. Hopefully this will be enough to replenish. It looks like, yeah, we're already back up to 12, which is way more than we had before. And I have plenty of bone meal from my skeleton farm. However, I would like to have a moss farm that produces both bone meal as well as moss, of course. And that way I could just auto feed bone meal into my inventory and I could stay here for hours, theoretically. Yeah, it is working really well so far. I can see I already have way more logs in my inventory than I've probably had in a very, very long time. Saplings are doing really well as well. I should have a time lapse going here, by the way, just so I can see in third person how this looks. But yeah, if I want to stay AFKing, I can hit, I believe it was F3 and T. That will reload my... It should reload textures and keep your mouse buttons held down, but oops, I should probably have my mouse buttons held down. So it should just be right click. Oh. And that's one bad part about it, is that sometimes your inventory can get super full and you'll just start placing down logs. But if we take a look and see how many logs we've gotten already, it's quite a bit already. I would have expected a little bit more. However, we haven't been at it for that long. And after finishing up the tree farm, I decided to do a quick 4-hour stream of basically going around through the town and redecorating some of the interiors of the buildings that we've built so far. So I would say a majority of the houses now actually have interiors, which is pretty good because I'm always kind of worried about doing the interiors of builds. I definitely want to do that as much as I can, but sometimes it's hard to actually do that. So yeah, just going through, I guess doing it on live stream was actually a really nice idea too, because we just got to relax. It was Halloween, so we put up, let's see if I can find any. We put some pumpkins up around the place. There was a few here. Here we go. So yeah, we got some jack-o'-lanterns, I should say. We got some jack-o'-lanterns built around the place. We got all of the interiors decorated. And if you want to check out that live stream, the VOD should be available on my YouTube channel. I was also live on Twitch, TinStarfish TV, if you want to find my Twitch channel over there. I'm going to try to live stream a little bit more often. Generally, I think I'm better at doing like video content, but I do think that live streaming is a lot of fun as well. And by the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want to support this channel and me more directly, why not consider becoming a channel member? We have 2 tiers of support, one of which is only 99 cents per month. You'll get access to all of these videos early, as well as a few additional perks inside of Discord. Speaking of which, I am actually setting up a brand new Discord. It's still in the works, but I'll probably end up leaving a link on this video. So yeah, join that new community Discord. If you're a part of the old one, feel free to leave that one and join the brand new one. That old one is a little bit abandoned at this point. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to the video. So now that we have the tree farm completed, what I want to do is have basically an unlimited amount of bone meal for it. We're currently getting a pretty decent amount of bone meal from our skeleton farm, however, I don't think it's quite enough. I also think that having a more direct line of bone meal is just going to be a little bit better for what we're doing with it. So I need to gather up some materials now, and then we can get started on the farm. So I'm going to start by grabbing some buckets of lava, and I'm going to turn some of it into obsidian because I want to build a new nether portal at the tree farm. So this portal ended up being a lot higher up in the nether than my other one is, so I might have to move it down. Alternatively, I could just move the other one up here as well. Alright, and I believe I've gathered everything that I need to build this farm. Shouldn't be too bad, not too many components for it. So I have these donkeys, and now I just need to bring them through the nether. I do need to clear a little bit more of a path for them though. But yeah, we should be now good to actually start the farm. And the moss farm is finally done. This was a pretty easy build actually. It did take a little bit of time to get everything configured, but it is running super smooth now. So you can't really see it in the time lapse, but there is a clock down here, and basically it powers a dispenser, which is basically bone mealing the moss up top. And there are pistons on either side which push the stone into the moss, and it'll break the moss, and it produces more stone that can be converted into moss. Then the items that fall get washed away from these trapdoors with a little bit of water behind them. And yeah, it's a pretty simple design. And currently, because I want a little bit more bone meal than moss, I just have 2 of these set up as a composter instead of chests. So this has only been running for a couple of minutes, and this is how much moss we already have. We also get a little bit of wheat seeds. I would like to be able to filter the wheat seeds down and just compost all of those, as well as maybe the moss carpets. And I did make a slight modification to this design as well, just to make it self-sufficient. So basically, we have a line of hoppers down below this block, these blocks here. And every time this clock goes off, we have a dropper elevator here that eventually drops the bone meal off inside of the dispenser that is dispensing the bone meal. And this little system here makes it mostly self-efficient. I think eventually it will run out of bone meal, but it'll take a very, very long time because it kind of refills itself as it goes. So I think it's losing probably 1 bone meal for every 2 that it uses. And so now that we have moss, bone meal, as well as the ability to cut down any tree that we have, we can basically decorate any place that we want to. Especially with all of the materials that we mined out from actually digging out this place, which is a lot. I don't know if I ever showed this on camera, but I kind of made a chest monster here while digging out the tree farm. And all of these items are extremely disorganized, and the same goes for all of my chests back home as well. So pretty soon I'm gonna need to make a storage room. But I want to make sure that I'm doing things properly, so I think what I want to do is make it a mostly fully automatic sorting system. And for that, we're going to need a ton of hoppers and redstone, and to get hoppers, we're going to need a ton of iron. And we only have a few villagers to make an iron farm, so I think first, we're going to need to make a villager breeder. Villager breeders are pretty easy to set up. We're just going to need some carrots. We're going to need a few beds. and a composter, a few trapdoors, and honestly, this farm is so simple, that's basically everything we're gonna need. We'll also need a water source. So I've been wondering why I've been hearing so many spider noises in this area. And it turns out there's a spider spotter here. And this cave is completely full of spiders. Like, you see all of their beady eyes right there. That might be a little bit of a problem, especially since what I'm doing right now is digging a tunnel in that direction. And I'm right on top of the spiders now. Hopefully I can get a torch or something in here just to light it up. One benefit of this is that we're gonna get a ton of string while we do this. Light it up, light it up, light it up. This can turn bad, but fortunately we're in full diamond gear with protection 4 on everything. Nice. Alright. Let's see what's in the chests. Pretty decent loot. I think we're okay though, because we're like 1 block above it. If it gets to the point where we need to get into that area, I might just break the spider spawner. There's definitely better ways of getting string and everything, so yeah, just an update on what I'm doing right now. We have the actual room itself completed. This is where we'll have 2 villagers inside of here, and then one of the villagers will be a farmer, one will not, and then they'll just share carrots. And then they'll make babies, and the baby will try to get into here. They'll either try to sleep or to jump on the bed. Now, we actually need to block this off with a trapdoor, because grown villagers are 2 blocks tall, but baby villagers aren't. So the baby villagers should be able to get through. They'll try to jump on the bed, and then they'll fall down here because we have trapdoors lining here. And then we'll have a water stream going this way, and eventually they'll end up in a chamber in which we can actually pull the villagers out from and get them a job and everything. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna start working on that next. I want to make sure that I'm doing all of the parts and then get the villagers in, just because it makes it a little bit easier to actually work with everything. Alright, and I've just completed the stasis chamber for these guys. This is where we'll be storing our villagers, and then once they grow up, I believe they will end up here, and then we can actually get a minecart contraption, and we can actually take the villagers out from here. But for now, this is where we'll be storing our villagers. And now I think I want to grab a couple of villagers and bring them down here. And I do want to actually leave these guys here where they are, because it's pretty nice having these guys up here for trading. So I think what I'm going to do is actually breed them. I have a hole right here. We can actually build a boat if I would have brought a boat with me. But basically what I want to do is make sure that this area is closed off, and then I'm going to free them. Just make sure they can't get out there. I think the windows are all closed. So we'll get these guys going. We'll fill one of their inventories up with carrots. Hopefully they'll share that with the other one. We'll need 3 beds in here. So basically we're making a temporary villager breeder. And after AFKing here for a few in-game days, we now have a pretty decent stockpile of villagers. I've had to add a few extra beds here because they were actually getting stuck on the beds that are inside of the farm, but that shouldn't be too big of an issue when we move them out of this area. But I do think that I'm going to leave things there for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.